Good afternoon. Welcome to County Connection. I'm your host, Supervisor Daryl Seymore, County Supervisor District 4, and today we have our guest, Catherine Doyle from the... Catherine? From where? Where are you from today? You're from the Family Advocacy Center, right?
I am.
All right. Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
You know, glad to have you. We got talking about politics and we got all messed up, and you told me you were this person and I thought you was that person and you was for this race and everything. But what does FAC, Family Advocacy Center, what is that all about?
So the Navajo County Family Advocacy Center is a nonprofit up here in Show Low. We service the entire county. We go all over. We even help out in Apache County sometimes. And we help specifically with children of physical and sexual abuse. So any kind of trauma that you can think of, we have everybody on staff and ready to help get as much information as possible, get that kid on the journey to healing, and help with any kind of getting justice in terms of going through the court system.
Okay, we're going to drill down on that a little bit here, but first we're going to back up and you're going to tell me a little bit about yourself, why you chose to get involved in this line of work, and then why you decided to come work and be part of Navajo County, and especially with the Advocacy Center. So tell me a little bit about your background and what you are all about. I understand you have that ASU thing about the Sun Devils versus the Wildcats, and that's a good thing. So that's a good thing on this show today.
Okay, good. Yeah. I'm originally from Snowflake. My parents still live up here. I went to NAU to get my undergrad degree and ASU for my master's, and my husband and I decided to move back up here after living in Phoenix for a few years and enjoying that chaos. And yeah, I've always been just in the health and human sector, so always been working with people and focusing on mental health and healing. So when I started learning more about the Family Advocacy Center and working with them, it just kind of organically developed into somewhere that I wanted to help develop and somewhere that I wanted to see grow.
Okay. And so your background, not only are you working here, you seriously do have a background and your master's degree in this line of work.
I do. So my master's is actually in health administration, so focuses a lot on data and statistics, and I've worked in the counseling sector, mental health sector, so we have kind of a well-rounded education going into it, and I'm hoping that can help us steering kind of towards a new direction that we're headed.
So how long have you been with the Family Advocacy Center? I'm
relatively new. I've only been there about 4 months.
Okay. Yeah. And what did you do previously?
Previous to that, I was a counselor with some of the school districts up here, and then I worked with the hospice companies up here, working in their social services department.
You know, it's great to have you today because sometimes we talk about these issues that we have and they say, oh, well, that's for the big cities, that's where that's at. We really don't have problems here in our little community that's all tight-knit and everything. Is that a true statement or false?
That is completely false. We have huge numbers that we've seen. We saw a little bit of a dip during COVID when kids were at home, not necessarily in schools where their abuse could be reported. But we've seen a huge uptick here in the last few months. We see well over 20 kids a month come through our center, victims of abuse, and we're on track this year to have the highest numbers in FAC history.
You know, it's really a sad number to have, and for it to be the highest is definitely not a position where we want to be in. But we're grateful to have people like yourself and your organization that has a place for people to turn to. And why is this so different that you do have a place where it becomes less traumatizing possibly for somebody that was reporting a case of abuse? How does that process go? And kind of tell me about the ins and outs a little bit about the center.
Absolutely. So prior to the FAC being open, when a child would report abuse or a teacher would report abuse, the law enforcement would go to the individual's home, they would interview the family, they would interview the child, and then they would have to drive to Flagstaff to get a medical interview. They would have to drive to either Flagstaff or Phoenix to get a forensic interview. Then they would be responsible for managing all their court dates and everything in terms of the judicial process. But with the FAC, everything is in one building. So families come to us, they get their medical interview, they get their forensic interview, they're assigned a county attorney, they're assigned a court advocate that does all of their court paperwork for them, follows them through the whole process, can even appear in court for them if it's too much for them to go to. Our staff handles all of the evidence chain of custody, so families aren't having to be re-interviewed over and over and over again. It's one-stop shopping, for lack of a better term, in terms of victim abuse.
You know, when you're a victim, it could be quite traumatizing to have to tell that story to, first of all, you're getting the confidence to share it, and then you share it with somebody that maybe you don't have a relationship with, and then in a lot of cases, you'd have to share it again and again and again and again. And it can become traumatizing just in telling that story over and over, something you're trying to forget, and be able to, there as a victim, to receive help. And so I think that's one of the great pluses of the Advocacy Center that we have in our community. Now, we haven't been here that forever. I think it was, what, 2011, 2012? Yep, 2011 is when it was started?
Yeah, it's still pretty new.
In there. And it's located where?
It's at 902 East Deusa Clubs. We share a building with the county attorney's office, so we're right in that county complex right across from probation. We're the building with the big windows in the front. We've got our garden therapy in the front, so right when you walk in, it's, you know right where we are.
Now, do you have hours through the day, or how does that work?
We have staff from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. in the building, and then anyone that has any questions, they can always give us a call, or they can message us on Facebook. We respond that way. Law enforcement, anyone that has an active case going on, law enforcement has all of our direct numbers, so we're constantly on call.
That's great. Now, you guys do a lot in the community because this costs money, and you need to raise money, and you're a 501c3.
Yep.
And so any donation that somebody makes to your organization can become tax deductible and be able to write it off. You're also eligible for the tax credit, where somebody as an individual can donate $400, or a joint couple can donate up to $800 each year, and that money becomes a tax credit for you on your state income tax. So that's a great way. But let's talk about some of the events, some of the activities that you put on, that you have going on, or you put on in the past, and then some that you have coming up that we could get involved with.
Absolutely. So just this last month, we had a coat drive, and we gave away over 200 coats to members of the communities. We had a ton of people donate coats and scarves and blankets, hats, stuffed animals. It was wonderful. We gave away a ton there. Every year we have our golf tournament that raises 100% of the proceeds from that go to the FAC. We're going to be holding that again in September. Some new events that we have going on this year, we're going to be doing Pool Party for a Purpose over at the Show Low Aquatic Center. So we're excited for that. It's going to be something that kind of kids and families can go to if you're not necessarily a golfer. We have our color run. The first year that we did that was this last year, so we're excited to continue that. And
what is a color run?
It's basically where you run a short little 5K and get a ton of color thrown on you. We did it in October for Domestic Violence Awareness Month, and we're planning on doing it in October again. So it's really fun. It washes out, it doesn't stain, but it's a fun thing to do.
But you say a short 5K to a guy like me, you know, you can be exhausted by the time I get that. I can walk it.
It's a fun walk or run. We're not judging. We don't have stopwatches or anything like that.
I might get more color if I was just walking, though.
It's true. If you go slow, you get more.
You get more. Okay.
You get more.
That's one of the ones that you win by being slow. Okay. That's great. Well, and what do you have coming up right now? Say we're going into the holiday season and things. What do you have?
So right now we're doing a toy drive, and we have a very comprehensive wish list up on our website, but our toy drive that we host in November and December stocks our toy closet for the entire year. So when we go out and say, hey, we're looking for toy donations, those donations are all tax deductible, like you mentioned. So if someone brings us in a toy, they get an in-kind donation tax receipt that they can put on their income taxes. And then every toy that's donated goes home with a family member or a child victim. So there's never anyone that leaves our center empty-handed. We always try to have them head out with toys and just something to kind of make their experience a little bit better. That's
great. You know, it's one of those things that I got to give a shout out to our county attorney, Mr. Carline. He's done a great job with the Advocacy Center to help get it started, to help move it forward. I know his father was a big part of it as well. It's something that they definitely have made a difference in the community by being part of it. I have had the opportunity in the last couple of years of playing in your golf tournament that you have. And I have to tell you, it's totally different than any other event that I've played in where you get a bunch of guys that are out there just playing golf. You probably have more women that play, more women that are there donating, making contributions. It's a whole different atmosphere. And I have to think that it's somewhere along the lines, there's some tender hearts there. There's some people that have either been a victim of abuse or seen it in their own family, and they want to do everything they can to help it change and to stop it and to make a difference. And I think this is one of the great organizations where contributing to this organization, it goes a long ways to a lot of people. How are you guys set up as far as money that is donated? How much of that goes back to the victims? How much of it is used for overhead, or do you know that?
So 65% of everything goes directly back into programs.
Okay.
So that 35% is salaries and keeping the lights on, making sure that we have insurance, stuff like that. But the 65% goes into garden therapy, it goes into our art therapy programs, it goes into buying, we have all kinds of groceries in the center, so that way when kids are there, they're making sure they're fed and have things to drink and food. We supply gas cards, food cards, grocery cards to all of our victims and families. All of that is the 65%. So a lot of our costs go directly back into victims, and that's absolutely what we strive for. We do everything we can to keep our staff costs as low as possible, so that way we can just give as much to the community as possible.
That's great. You know, some of this is a topic of mental health. It's also a topic of abuse, and abuse can be from children. Whatever happens to a child, whether a child feels that they're being verbally abused, physically abused, sexually abused. You also have your elder abuse. The elderly sometimes aren't getting the care that they need, or they feel like they're being taken advantage of through financially. Somebody's trying to get into their pockets or something of that side, as well as just a normal person that's had some type of abuse that has happened to them. You know, with your center, you said you have 20 people a month or so that come through there?
Minimum, yep.
Minimum, at least 20. And in those cases, do a lot of those get turned over to authorities, or are they the type of help that you're able to give them treatment and help in along the way?
So authorities are always involved in everything that we do, just so that we make sure that all bases are covered, especially in terms of if it's a family member that's concerned of that's the potential abuser. We try to make sure that authorities are involved in every case. Not all of our cases go to trial, not all of our cases go to prosecution. Sometimes it's something that it was just a misunderstanding, or something was said that was kind of misconstrued by the reporting adult. In those cases, we can absolutely just make sure that they have therapy access, that they have kind of different needs. Sometimes they need insurance needs. We have our court advocates, and we have just individual advocates that can help people with everything that they could possibly need. So even when a case isn't necessarily getting prosecuted, we still walk with that victim or the potential victim every step of the way, making sure that they leave in a better situation. Okay.
So some of these cases are referred to you from law authorities or things, and then somebody could call directly to your center or something as well, or stop by your center.
Exactly. Yep. Okay. And in that case, we would walk with them from the very first step, and we would say, okay, first step is let's get law enforcement involved. Let's make sure that this is reported, so that we have a police report number, so that we can get it investigated. Let's make sure that the child is out of harm's way. We kind of, at that point, it's all hands on deck, and we kind of step in and just go from square one. Okay.
What size of organization, how many people, are working here at the Show Low Center?
At the Show Low location, we have 4 people, so we're a very small organization. But like I said, we're countywide, so we do a lot. We cover a lot of ground. But we have one court advocate that's here, and she covers Snowflake, Show Low, and Pine Top. We have our in-house advocate, and she works with every single victim that comes through our doors. And she also does MDT, which is our multidisciplinary team, working with law enforcement and FBI, making sure that everybody's on the same page. And then we have our forensic interviewer. She's in-house, and she sees every single victim. And then myself.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome. You know, so you have hands-on, you're able to see some of the things as society changes, some of the things of as families become a little more busy, things go out, a mother or father that don't want to confront the teenager, some of the things with social media. We just touched base a little bit about social media. You said that home used to, in our earlier discussion, that home was a safe place, but it's not always necessarily the safe place today.
Right, right.
It's not as safe as it used to be.
No, it's not always a safe place, and sometimes parents don't even know their home isn't a safe place. Sometimes they don't know that the abuser's under their roof. Sometimes they don't know that their child's being bullied through their phone. There's a lot of unknowns in today's society with things as they're changing faster than we can keep up with them.
It's great. It's been great to have you today and the information. How do we get a hold of the Advocacy Center? Is there a website? I know you're on Facebook. I know there's a place there, but is there a number or a website information?
Yeah, so our website is ncfac.org, super simple, and it has all of our contact information. It even has a contact box on there so you can directly email us, and it also has our Holbrook numbers on there as well if you're not in Show Low.
Great. Well, thank you. You have any questions for me?
I don't think, do you have any questions for me?
No, I asked you a lot today and things. It's been fantastic. But I really appreciate the opportunity of learning more myself and being able to share this with our public.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you, Catherine.
Thank you.
Thanks today for being with us here on County Connection. We hope you have a great day. If you have any questions, just give us a call. We appreciate it. Thanks.